We're starting a big project today. We're going to mount that log grapple on that crane. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So if you've been following the channel for a while, you probably remember back in fall I mentioned a couple times, I showed that grapple and mentioned that you got to get it set up for the truck. Well, I'm going to tell you a little story here before we get to work. This project has been absolutely cursed every step of the way, and I haven't even turned a wrench on it yet. I decided when we were shut down to harvest Christmas trees that I'd send it out to a hydraulic shop. I thought about it a while. I thought, well, I could probably do that myself, but there's a shop here in Eastern PA that specializes in truck hydraulics, and it's a very big shop. And I thought, well, they're the experts. They could probably save me money in the long run because they'll know exactly how to do this, and it'll be worth my while just to have it professionally done. Which I mentioned that because a couple weeks ago somebody commented on one of the other videos that I was like the commenter and I have to do everything myself. Well, not necessarily, believe me. I used to be that way when I first started in business, didn't have any money. Yeah, I did everything myself because I didn't have a choice. I'm kind of trying to train myself that I can turn things over to other people and sub some stuff out, and you know, time is money. So that was my thought process on this. I'll let somebody else tackle it. Not to put anybody down too much, but I had an appointment at this shop. It sat there for 2 weeks before they looked at it. They looked at it. We got to get some prices on stuff. We'll get you a quote. 3 weeks go by. They called me with a quote that, well, I almost fell over. I'm not going to mention numbers. I'm not going to mention names or anything. It was just absolutely ridiculous. I said, that's not going to work. I said, can we reconfigure it? Because I had them price it the way I wanted it set up in a perfect world. I said, let's try to price it again with some cheaper components and do some different stuff.
Huh?
Get out.
What?
I'm in the middle of filming a clip here.
Oh.
I'll be with you in a couple minutes.
Okay. Don't cut me out.
So they repriced it with some cheaper components, and the number was just still what I thought was completely out of line. I don't mind paying for people's times, but if I feel like I'm being taken advantage of, it's not good. So I did end up ordering a few parts from them that I couldn't find elsewhere, which was another 2 to 3 weeks of just complications. In the meantime, I found all the other parts I needed, and some of the parts had to come from Europe. Well, UPS goofed up and the package got stuck in Germany for a week, and I've been waiting here. We're at least 7 weeks in here, and I have not done a thing to this truck yet. So I just about have all my parts here. I'm waiting on 2 packages yet that are supposed to be here today. We'll see if that comes to fruition, but we got enough parts here that we can get started. So this is not going to be an easy task by any means. Let me show you what I'm working with here. And this is going to be over a couple days, and I might actually just break this into 2 videos, to be honest with you, so it doesn't get too long. This is my setup. So basically what happened, I had to completely replace my valves because the valves I have on my crane, I do not have a section for a grapple and a rotator, and I could not add valves to that system. If you've seen me operate that crane before, that has a remote control. So it's not just plug and play. It was easier just to replace everything. So that's what I have here. Brand new 6-bank valve, which I actually have to add 1 more valve to. That was another complication that we'll get into when we get into it. I've got a brand new remote control, joysticks this time. It should work pretty slick. All the electronics and wiring that have to go with that. Then I got this hose reel. This is a 30-foot hose reel, so this is going to mount on the boom, and it's got 4 lines, 2 for a grapple, 2 for a rotator, and they're going to go in and out because my crane telescope's 39 feet. So I need to be able to get hydraulic fluid to the tip of the boom. So that's what that's for. So today we're starting with the reel, and I have to make a hanger to actually hang the grapple on the crane. That's probably the first thing I'm gonna do. So this is gonna be welding and fabricating. This is gonna be hydraulics. This is gonna be electrical wiring, a little bit of everything. It's a pretty big project. I'm not an expert at hydraulics, but I know enough to make myself dangerous. The good news is this system should be pretty plug and play. I should be able to take off the valve body, put this one in. I will have to modify my mount some, and then just put all this together. There's solenoids for every one of these remotes, because when you trigger the wireless remote, it triggers these valves. It makes it work. Simple in concept. It's going to be challenging in practice. We'll get into some of the issues as we get into them. You're going to find out when I find out. I'm just going to dive right in here because I've been waiting long enough. So we're gonna try to get this done in a relatively quick fashion, but I still have to deal with customers and everything else along the way. So it's going to be kind of a broken up video, but hopefully it'll be interesting for you, and we'll just see what we can get done here. Well, we are underway. The bandsaw is doing its job there. I'm starting on that bracket that actually mounts the grapple to the crane. I got to cut and weld all that up. To add complication to this whole project, I cannot bring the truck into this building and close the door. It doesn't fit. All my welders and saws and everything are over here. I can put the truck in the lumber building, that's where it was in the intro clip, but I can't unfold it. So I can't actually work on the boom there. So that'll come in handy when I actually do the valve work. I'll be able to do it in there in the warm. It's blowing 30 out. So I'm trying to do as much as I can in here, in the building with the doors closed. Eventually I'm gonna have to back the truck in here. I won't be able to close the doors. I'm gonna have to turn the heat off. I'll at least be out of the wind, but it's gonna be less than ideal. So I'm just trying to make do here and get as much done before I open those doors up as I can. So I'm gonna cut my pieces here, do some drilling, welding, get that all set up. Well, I'm making progress, albeit small. Got my hanger built. It's all 3/4 inch steel, real heavy. Not the prettiest thing I ever built, but it should do the job pretty well. I test fit it, fits on the grapple nice. I gotta let the primer dry, I'll paint it black. And next step is to bring the truck in here. Well, that's as good as we're gonna do. We're in here pretty far, but not quite enough. So the doors, I have them closed as much as they're gonna close. Let's hop up there, I'll show you the next step here. I'm gonna be up and down this ladder 100 times today, guaranteed. So, I got my little cancer can in there. That's gonna give a little bit of heat. It's better than nothing. This reel, that reel, has to be mounted here, roughly where that blue tape is. Now, in a perfect world, where you'd normally mount this would be somewhere along the side here, so it tucks up on the side and your hose shoots down the boom. Problem is, this crane is mounted too close to the cab. I don't have clearance to put it here. So, the only place I can mount this is hanging underneath. Not a huge fan of that. I don't like that it's going to be hanging down. It's something I'm going to have to be very aware of when I'm operating. Just make sure you don't whack it with a log. I may even end up fabbing some kind of guard for it. For right now, I'm just going to mount it and then run it a test run or two, see how I like it, and we'll go from there. But really, I don't have any other option other than for it to hang right about there. So we'll make it work. It's less than ideal. So I basically have to figure out from scratch how to hang this here. This is all flying by the seat of my pants. There is no instruction manual for this. So this is gonna be one of them deals, I'm probably gonna stare at this for a long time. One of those cut 4 times, measure 4 times, cut once type deals, till I figure out how I want to fab up a bracket to hang this thing and get everything just where I want it. So let me work on that a little bit. That's going to be the kind of boring part, and I'll bring it back when I got some action. So just so you guys know, I know you think I'm a dumb redneck hillbilly, but I am using the latest and greatest in technology to fab this bracket. You know, state-of-the-art CNC CAD stuff. And take a look. Yeah, super high tech. When in doubt, break out the cardboard. So I know that doesn't look like anything other than a piece of scrap cardboard taped to the side of the crane, but I have it mocked up. I have everything kind of figured out, my dimensions, my layouts. It just gives me a little bit of a visual. So I'm going to cut a piece of steel with the plasma cutter to match that a little bit nicer, a little bit squarer than that. I'm going to cut some triangular gussets to gusset it to the frame there, and that should work pretty well. I think I have clearance in all directions. I'll be able to route my hoses. So it just kind of gave me a little bit of a visual to help me figure this out. So now I get to make it real in steel. I'm not trying to rap for you guys. Well, there's your real mount. I bet you guys didn't even know I went to the dentist in the middle of that. No cavities, just a cleaning. Came out pretty good, I'm happy with it. I mean, it's not anything super complicated, just a bracket. It's triangulated and fully welded and covered with some Alice Chalmers orange. It's about the closest thing I could find. I'm thinking about repainting this whole thing come spring, so I'm not too worried about it right now. I just wanted something to cover that up. I'm gonna let that paint dry over lunch here. I'm gonna go grab a bite, and hopefully I can find my dad around here somewhere and get an extra set of hands to mount that thing, because that's gonna be very difficult with one person.
Can't see anything. That's how we figure out. Okay, down on this side. Gotta get the top one. Up, no.
Well, can you put a nut on one of them just to hold it?
Seem to line up.
How long are you holding it? So as you saw, that was my awkward lifting position. Try not to blow out your back move for the day. It looks pretty good. It's dirty already. But no, that mounted up there real nice. And you can see this spins and your manifold here stays fixed. So my hoses are going to run up all the way back to the valves. And it'll send fluid on 4 different lines out the reel. So next step, and I have to clock the spring load this yet, but the next step is going to be figuring out how to route these hoses so they can come in and out and not hang down and get caught up in everything. So they told me when I bought this reel, this actually works really nice for, it puts a lot of tension on the hoses, keeps them real nice and tight. But I'm thinking I want to take it an extra step. And I bought a couple of these winch fair leads, like you'd put on the front of a winch. And I'm thinking about running my hoses through here and just giving them, you know, some support and some guidance that they're not chafing on the way out. My question now, I'm back to the whole process of measure 4 times and mount something once. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 extensions here, and I have to make sure everything is going to work seamlessly, both closed and open, that everything clears, and it's a process. So let me think on this a little bit, and I'm going to see how I mount these things. So I'm working on fabbing my brackets here. And I got one roller on, and I got to hang this piece, and I want to use these holes that are here so I can just bolt it on. But I can't get a marker in there to mark the holes from the backside. And like a genius, I thought maybe I could take my can of spray primer and spray it from the backside and it would mark the holes. Well, all that did was make a tremendous mess. So I'm resorted to chopping down a pencil, and I'm going to try that. But why don't you guys take this idea and run with it? And if you make $1 million on it, just cut me in for a royalty or something. Make a marker that has a 90-degree tip that you can get in tight spots or something along those lines. Take that idea and run with it, and maybe we can make a couple bucks on it. You ever forget you were making a video? Yeah, I just did. I got ahead of myself. I've been just trying to knock this out. I got this bracket done with my bulkhead here for the 4 different lines, all nice and neat and tidy. Pre-wound my coil, and I was in the midst of really fighting because now these are under tension to get these connections made. And I looked over and I saw the camera laying there. So I guess you guys might as well just watch me fight a little bit. Yikes. Well, this is not much fun. And for those of you that know, JIC hydraulic fittings have to go on like perfectly straight or they just won't catch. When you're working under tension, easier said than done. I'll spare you some of my pain. That was about a half hour. I'm sweating. I got cramps places I didn't know I could get cramps. 3 went on pretty decent. It's always one. There's one in every crowd. The 4th one was just a bear. They're all attached. So what I ended up doing here, I thought I'm not going to try to over-engineer this. I put on 1 roller fair lead, and I skipped the other sections, and I figured I'd go right to the end, because when this is collapsed, it's so tight, I was afraid it was going to cause me trouble. So we're going to try it like this and just see what it looks like. I guess what I'll do, I'll pull it out a little bit, and we'll run it, and we'll just see how she does. Oh my God, I'm stiff from... Oh, that. If this is any indication how tomorrow's gonna go, when I gotta plumb all this stuff, I may just stay home. You guys can come finish this. Well, here goes the neighborhood. Yes, half the tools and hardware I own are on this truck. I'm gonna set you guys up so I can pay attention here to operating and just see what this thing does. Well, it was a fight, but boy, I'm tickled. That'll bring a smile to my face. That's what 40 foot of extension looks like. I'm pretty sure this is gonna work perfect. This reel is working great, keeps them under nice tension. That should be fine just the way it is. If anything, I may try to come up with something here to support these hoses a little bit more, just as far as the pull on them, but boy, that's pretty neat. I'm happy. So that's phase one of this project done. So we, in theory, now have hydraulics out to the tip. Not 100% yet, because obviously I've got to run hoses from the reel back down to the valves. That's going to be phase two of this project. That's going to be interesting as well. We're getting into this whole setup. All this stuff, the sea of parts that's flooding my workbench, it's all going to get used up. So that'll be part two. I'm going to start on that tomorrow. You guys are going to be seeing that next Friday. So if you enjoyed this, make sure you subscribe, like the video, do all that stuff. And hopefully next week we'll get this wrapped up and we'll be ready to pick some logs with this baby. Thanks for watching, guys.